So I'll try to keep the red visible, but not sure yet. So I just need to find a yellow, I think. Let's see. I'll try those. On the beak, I'm actually not too worried if it is too reflective or not really matte. I might even go in and get the shine back by adding some varnish. But first I'm going to try and see how that looks. Here I want a real bright yellow. Let's see how we're going to do this. I think I'll start by mixing some yellow and some black and see how that looks. Right, so just covering the beak here with a layer, and I'm also emphasizing the edges. I think that's going to make for an interesting effect. Putting a bit of a focus on those outlines. So I think this beak continues down here. So painting with a bit of transparent consistency. And here I'm not too worried if that groove gets covered. I'll go back in and blackline that. Okay, let's add some more yellow. Okay, always starting where I want the lighter color to be, just in case it is too bright already. In this case, I think that's the case. So adding a bit more black. For the second layer. Okay, I think color-wise it's going to work. Yeah, I'll just have to smooth out the gradient a bit. So maybe start with a lighter yellow up here and then just shade in that red once again. It's always easier to tone down something that is too bright than the other way around. Okay, there's some structure going on up here. It's the beak up here is divided. I don't know if that's actually the case on some birds. But we'll play on it a bit on this model. Okay, again more yellow. Again starting down here. Checking if it's already too bright or not. Okay, that's maybe a tiny bit too bright for a gradient already. Okay, and again I'm taking a bit of in this case I kind of painted crisscross to have a bit of a texture there. That helps a tiny bit with getting gradients looking good. If you're not 100% sure, you can layer it in a smooth way. Okay, so let's again add a bit more yellow. So just where the whole of the nose is appearing, I'm going to add some red. And then up here. So kind of see this is an extension of the body, and then here we're actually going to paint pure black on the front of the beak. Alright, then like I said, I just want the groove that separates the two beak parts to be black again. So right now is the time to do that. And then I just have to be careful when I do the rest. Sorry, I need to throw the miniature around a bit. It's probably not easy to watch at the moment. So just a hint of that blue as a highlight up here. Just I think I'm going to emphasize the upper area of the breathing hole, the nose. With some desaturated yellow. Okay, so let's do the same thing with this area. Just going to add, like I said, a bit more black, more intense black up here. And I think for that purpose I am covering everything with yellow, and then I'll go back in with black and emphasize or intensify the black up here. Yeah, like I said, just going to paint on the yellow, and I think I'm probably going to go for yeah, the thing is, I want a bit of a different yellow, I think. Let's see, how does this... No, that's definitely not what I want. Maybe some orange. Let's see, tone that down. Yeah, I think that's better. So just add a little bit of orange. And that does make for a bit of a less intense yellow. So I'll take that as a base, and as I go further down, I'll go towards that yellow again, but I just want to keep it as a mid-tone. Let's also do this part down here. Something that could also be interesting is just painting this up here yellow and then go down to a black. But we'll see. I'll do the opposite way first, and then I can still decide whether to keep it or not. Okay, just start to dab on the color here. And adding some of that lighter yellow, and then maybe try to mix them as I go. Okay, I really need to be patient here and wait till all the layers are dry. Okay, so going up to that pure yellow. Highlighting that edge of the beak. Pure yellow. Again, to focus a bit on the edge and to draw it together with the other yellow we painted back on the other side of the beak. And then just a few highlights, a few more highlights. Okay, so I think I'm going to just add this yellow to the very edge of the beak, but I think that could give us a bit of a maximum of contrast again, and it should tie it back. Should tie it back in with the other yellow. just down here, not to overdo it. I think you can see what I mean, so that it makes a bit more sense. Of course, these edges, as they would catch a bit more light. Again, just play a bit with texture, some tiny dots. I'll also use that to paint a bit of a scratch, as that beak is going to bite a lot of baddies. It will obviously get tiny bit damaged. Just because I think it's going to look okay, or look good, I'm going to paint a bit of a reflection here. Again, I don't want to use white, so this is probably going to be the lightest that I go. Right, and now for the rest of the beak and bringing back the black up here. And we're going to do that. I think I'll just use thin layers of black. So I'm just using very diluted washes of black to bring back the black on the top of the beak. It's a tiny bit weird because the texture of the paint got a bit rough. Let's see. How far are we going to take it? Yeah, so I'll bring that back, and then I'm going to paint some white over the edges here to mimic some reflections, sort of like you would get some reflections in the on the inside of a shell. Alright, again, just washing, or I don't know, probably could call it glaze, I don't know, with all the terminology. Not really familiar with that, but just using very thin layers to cover the yellow, and by that I get my gradient back. If the if I get a layer that's too thick, I just go back in with a wet brush, as long as it's wet, and just scrape it away again. So I'm now just playing around with a bit of consistency of the black, and just, like I said, just redo that gradient. Then I have some areas that don't want to be covered by just black. There I just mix in some of the yellow, like here, and dab on some color, just to bring back some of the mid-tone. Again, where it was too intense, I just dab away with a wet brush and carefully redo it. And again, it's not going to be perfect, not going to be a perfect gradient. It's going to show all these little brush strokes and dots and all of that, but that's perfectly fine, because that's exactly what I want to achieve. Reality usually has some sort of texture in everything. For example, that's something you can't really achieve with an airbrush. You can achieve a perfect gradient, but even if you're an artist in the industry for Hollywood, for example, you lay down the initial gradients with an airbrush, and then they always go back in with some sort of brush and do the detailing. Or sponge or something like that, you know. Okay, and now I did mix in a bit more of the black, and I'm trying to be more selective. So just touching the very nose of the beak, or the very ridge. And maybe a few dots further into the gradient, not trying to overdo it. Okay, so it might not even be desirable to go back up to pure black. I really feel this looks good enough. I'm probably going back in with some gloss varnish. And of course, with getting all excited up here, I forgot to paint the lower side. But now that we know how we did it, it's not that much of a big deal. Right, so like I said, I'm happy with how it turned out, I think. Maybe this gradient here is a bit harsh, but we can always tone it down like this. So add a bit of the mid-tone again. That just draws everything together a bit more. Alright, and I'll emphasize this highlight point here just one more time. Okay, I like that effect. Let's see, we can also do it on this side. It was a really good decision to just grab it and don't convert it or anything like I usually do, and just go in and paint it, because it's a model that I never really painted a creature like that. And then with all the texture and feathers and a beak and yeah, claws, I just tried to do something new with every element, and so far I think it's working pretty good. I'm tempted, I think I'll use a bit of white, at least a 50-50 mix here. Hoping that doesn't ruin the effect. Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of lost my taste in white. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine here. Let's see. Yeah, I'll probably just leave it like that because it's a really intense highlight meant to reflect some light. I think I'm going to risk highlighting this area. I want this to stand out. Yeah, I think that looks better. Okay, also here. I want to try something like that, but I'm afraid I'll just ruin a miniature. I mean, the thing is, in the end, you just have to try something new, and if it's not good on the first try, just go in and check what exactly the problem was. And usually with painting texture like that, what I feel like is always a bit of a drawback is when you don't have a perfect brush. So if you have a brush that can paint lines that tiny, all you just need to do is be careful and just paint one line after the other and not get too hasty and impatient, and then you're good. Okay, like I said, I need to redo, I didn't even start. I also need to give this lower beak half here the treatment. Okay, so I think I forgot the orange. So let's see. I'll have to go over that whole thing once again. Just to make it fit with the upper half. Okay, from there I can just add yellow, it's fine. And yeah, you're not going to learn much new stuff if you just repeat everything that you already know on miniatures. You kind of have to go out of your comfort zone, and I was afraid to do so for a long time, and only when I started doing so I felt really that painting was fun and was keeping me entertained, and I also felt like I was getting better. Before that I was just, copying stuff and doing box arts or redoing box arts. But sometimes if you don't have a minute that really catches your eye, you're not as interested in painting it, you know. Yeah, I totally understand. I totally understand. It's definitely a motivation to paint something that you really find awesome. But then, you know, if you're scared to paint it, then you're also not going to get your best paint job done. You're just going to get standard done because you only do stuff that you already know. So you're also not doing the miniature justice. I mean, that's just me, you know. Okay, let's see. There's some feature here that I think I'm going to touch because the voices are telling me. Just place a highlight here and also here. Because when Games Workshop sculpts something, we might as well paint it. Okay, there's nothing of that here for some reason, but okay, it was on the other side. Again, starting at the highest point, and I'll just apply washes as I go. It's just like highlighting, only that it's a shadow color and not a highlight color. That's maybe a tiny bit harsh. And I had a lot of fun. Okay, that's just black line. some areas down here.
I think for this kind of images and paragraphs too, I just always feel super awkward when I use graphs with videos when I use that.
Okay.